To Ukraine now, where a military official says Russia is preparing for the next stage of its offensive after Moscow ordered its forces to step up military operations. Russia is now focusing on the eastern region of Donetsk. Ukraine says Russian forces are shelling along the entire front line as they prepare for the next ground offensive. Our next report is from Pokrovsk, a small city right in the path of the Russian advance.
A mother grieving the loss of her son. Volodymyr Miroshnichenko died trying to stop the Russian advance on his home city of Pokrovsk. The city's mayor has come to pay his respects. It's not for the first time. Many citizens from the Donetsk region went to defend our country. There are many of our guys on the front line. 10 have been killed since February 24th. And there are many people who are being drafted now. With Russian forces slowly gaining ground, the war is reaching people's lives here in other ways too. Indiscriminate bombardment of civilian targets, a trademark of Putin's invasion. Footage shot by the Ukrainian police shows the terror inflicted on Pokrovsk residents. With the young and able-bodied at the front, the elderly have been left to fend largely for themselves. Food banks like these help the most needy, but things could get worse still. The mayor fears that a shortage of gas will make the city uninhabitable once temperatures drop. Even if the fighting stops where they are now and the front line doesn't move, it will be very hard to survive here in winter. If the Russians advance further, it will fall to Mayor Tribushkin to organize the evacuation of the city, adding to the millions of Ukrainians already displaced by the war.
DW's Nick Spicer joins me from Ukraine's capital, Kiev. Nick, Ukraine says it's preparing for the next stage of Russia's offensive in the eastern Donbas region. What is the situation on the ground right now?
Well, Monica, once again, massive artillery bombardments all across the front line, and particularly in that area. The defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, is said to have visited the front line. We're not sure what kind of footage or any evidence there is that has occurred. But he said, I'm going to push pause here. He said that the objective is to stop the Ukrainians from shelling civilian areas. There's been no proof of that actually occurring, and it's somewhat implausible, as by their own admission, they don't have enough artillery to properly fight the Russians. But for the facts, on the ground, massive artillery across that region. The Ukrainians have their most battle-hardened fighters there confronting the Russians, and they did manage to repel an attempt to take a key highway, which would allow the Russians to approach Sloviansk, which is their sort of operational headquarters in the region. The Russians have been trying for 2 months, and they failed to do that. So the battle continues, again, with a great disproportion in artillery fire, but the Ukrainians are putting up the fight that they have had since the beginning. And just a final note, it's worth taking note that, since the beginning of May, despite all of this massive artillery bombardment, the Russians have only taken 5% more of Ukrainian territory. So it may be a big announcement, but there's been big announcements before, and it's not an indication that there's going to be a big change on the ground.
All right, talking of announcements, Nick, the Ukrainian President Zelenskyy is vowing that Ukraine will recapture more of its lost land. Now, is that realistic, or is he just trying to boost morale?
I think both hypotheses are possible. He's been talking about what seemed to be entirely implausible, first defeating the Russians and chasing away from the capital, and that occurred. Morale is high. I think the Ukrainians, down to a man almost when it comes to the army in any case, say they want to reclaim all of the territory that Russia has taken since 2014. That changes the situation enormously if they do have that as an objective, not to mention Crimea, which was annexed as well, because they're considered by the Russians to be part of Russia. And Vladimir Putin has always sort of threatened, with not so many words, the possibility of using nuclear weapons if things don't go his way. So the Ukrainians are fighting back. They're making some success in the south of the country, in particular in the Kherson region, small advances there. But of course, it's a two-front war now. So where the Russians are focusing on the east, the Ukrainians are advancing somewhat in the south.
All right. DW's Nick Spicer there reporting from Kiev. Thank you so much, Nick.